Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies podcast. Brandon, it has been 2 months, nearly just over 2 months since we last did a pod. So how are you, mate? How are you keeping?
I know, I'm good, mate. I'm slightly rough from a eventful weekend, obviously football, and then celebrating St Paddy's Day yesterday, as you do.
It's a good result for one of your teams.
Yeah?
A good result for one of your teams this weekend.
Yeah, Aki's won. We'll keep it at that. But I've been good, mate. How about yourself?
You're not bad, mate.
Just want to congratulate you for losing 2 stone since the last podcast.
Thank you very much.
And as a treat, I've brought you some sweeties.
Oh, no.
All right. Okay. So you can take that on cheat day. All right.
Appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
I did look in the shop for some muesli, but unfortunately there wasn't any.
Somebody's bought it all.
I know, it seems as if there was none left. Someone's obviously went in and just emptied the whole shop for the full of the muesli. So remember, kids, if you want to be big and strong and lose 2 stone, eat your muesli. You also have smelly farts.
Thank you very much, mate. As I said, it's been 2 months since our last pod, so there is so much to talk about, positively and negatively. But first of all, let's just run through the results since we last had our pod. So straight afterwards, we had a 2-0 win at home to Cove, 1 each draw with Montrose, 2-1 away to Queen of the South, a 3-2 loss to Annan at home, a 3-2 loss to Falkirk away, a 2-1 loss to Alloa at home, a 0-0 draw with Stirling, 5-0 win over Kelty, 1-0 win over Edinburgh, and a 3-0 win over Stirling, which was just that weekend there. So, listen, there's obviously 3 big results in that run of fixtures, 3 negative results in that run of fixtures that are worth diving into. The first one being Annan at home, 3-2 loss. I mean, you don't want to dwell on these results too much because it has been weeks since then, but you know that was just one of those games where you always knew something was coming. Mm-hmm. And then obviously when the goal went in, I don't even remember reacting to it. I don't really remember anyone around me reacted to it. It was just a bit of, we knew that was coming. We kind of got the feel of it. It was a fairly negative place at that time anyway. And that just kind of summed it all up, really.
Yeah, I think people knew it was coming. And I think that was one of the sort of things that I was voicing my opinion about at the game. That it was, everybody could sort of see it coming. Obviously then there was the viral moment of 4 fucking strikers as well.
4 strikers, mate.
Yeah, balloon. But aye.
Do you know, I had just a quick comment on that. Obviously, I had everybody in their grand sending me this, blah, blah, blah. I actually had a client from work email me the link to it going, "Hi, mate, blah, blah, blah. Is this you, by the way?" I was like, yeah, that's me. Aye, so the 3-2 loss at home to Annan, it was like a 95th minute winner. And it was, as I said, it was one of those ones I didn't even really react to. I remember just being a bit like, it sums up the kind of the way we are now.
Aye, no, totally. We've came into this league obviously and we've put in claims, we've quite rightly so, we've made investments, so we should be thinking that we should be up there. And we are second in the league, but results like that just shouldn't be happening in my opinion, especially at home. I think Bankin went on about how he wanted, when he was a player, sort of New Douglas Park was renowned for not wanting to go to.
Yep.
It's always a place that they sort of, apart from the old firm, it was one of the places that they just really didn't want to come to, for lots of different reasons. And our home form's just been absolutely atrocious for where we should be at, sort of thing. And I think
at one point it was 1 win and 6 at home, or 2 wins and 6 at home.
So we shouldn't get meat to Annan, never mind conceding 3 goals as well. Of course the season we've actually had a no bad defensive record, but that game itself was just woeful. And if that's the way in which, and that's the style of football we're going to play, then we're going to have teams, regardless of if we're higher quality than them or not, are going to come and get something from it, and Annan showed that in that game.
And we followed that up with a 3-2 loss away to Falkirk. Now, looking at the result on paper, like I said, I've got mates who obviously don't really follow Accies or anything, but sent me that going, "Oh, it's a tough one for you now." I was going, you don't see in that scoreline how bad we were. 3-0 down in 25 minutes, whatever it was. Hats off to Falkirk, they deserved the win, no doubt in that whatsoever. I thought Ahkeem Rose took his 2 goals very well, and he was the kind of only bright spark in that game, and has been a bright spark since then, since he signed in January. But no, that game, the scoreline isn't a fair reflection of the actual game, in my opinion. I don't think we deserved to win the game, and as I said, the people looking at it going 3-2, it was a close one. In my opinion, it wasn't.
It wasn't a close one, first half especially. After the game, Rankin, for the very first times, took accountability, but I saw a bit of an underhand taking of accountability by coming out and saying that perhaps he shouldn't have attacked Falkirk. Did he attack Falkirk?
It was coming out and saying, what was it, the quote exactly? It was like, I had a goal, you can't blame me for not having a goal.
I'll put my hands out. We got to be, maybe we'll think twice about having a go. Something along those lines. Yeah. But again, I didn't see us having a go that first half, and I think that's been one of the biggest frustrating parts over the course of the season is the style of football and the manner. And we'll probably touch on that further down the line. But the Falkirk game in particular, Falkirk 100% deserved to win. Second, obviously we got that goal before half time. Second half, we came out and there was a good period of time where we probably were in the front foot, but you expect that when you're the team that's getting beat. Falkirk have took their foot off the gas slightly. So we were in the ascendancy, and then again, one of the biggest criticisms we've had on this podcast over the past year and a bit has been the poor game management that we've perceived, and I think that's what happened at the Falkirk Stadium as well, because we were in the ascendancy. We looked as if we might have probably could have took something from the game, which might not have been deserved, but the subs which he made just completely killed the game and removed that ascendancy that we were in, and then that just made it an easy finish to the game, which another big frustrating part for a lot of fans has been the game management, what the subs are, and again I'm sure we'll touch on subs further down the line.
And obviously we followed that then up with a 2-1 loss at home to Alloa. Now, this game was kind of overshadowed by quite a serious injury to Kyle McDonald. Mm-hmm. We see now on Twitter that he is back at the club and he's at the hospital, and hopefully it's nothing too serious for him. We wish him a very speedy recovery. I've seen a few people say that he definitely won't play for the rest of the season. I'd be very, very surprised to see him at all. That was quite a scary moment, obviously, because you see it's a head injury. From sitting in the stands, we could hear the actual contact, which was horrifying to hear. And obviously all the medics rush in, the players immediately gesture, he ends up getting off on a stretcher, went to the hospital, did a check, and as I said, we don't know the full details. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but he is back at the club and at least in some light training, so hopefully it's nothing too bad. But a 2-1 loss at home to Alloa, and again I found that just to be one of those games kind of like the Annan one. You can knew it was coming, and it was just a bit of a sucker punch, wasn't it? But again, summed up kind of the feeling of the fans at that time.
Yeah, listen, again, it's the types of performances as well that we're doing, and it's just so negative. It goes on about how he's trying to bring in this identity and make Accies a team that's hard to beat. I mean, that's well and good when you're in the Premiership or you're in the Championship, I suppose, to a degree, because now where we're at. But in League One, we shouldn't be a team that's hard to beat. We should be a team that's fucking
just blowing people away.
I
hate to say it.
Like
Falkirk are doing.
Because, again, I don't want to go in teams too much and sort of criticise sort of part-time teams, because that's what they are, they're part-time. But the results, again, shouldn't be happening. And the biggest frustrating part for me is the way in which we're going about these games. I just think that you've got so many players there that are more capable than what they're showing, and I feel it's partly down to the manner in which they're getting told how to play. I just think we're so boring to watch. I don't know if it's just me, but and I know like we've got some good positive results recently, but you don't want to just you want to be going to games to watch something that that is worth the money you're paying. You don't want to be bored to tears. You don't want to be watching a team passing the ball about the back, big hoof balls, and that's effectively what we've been doing for the past while, all bar the Celtic game, which we'll touch on. And Alloa again, result, they were in a bit of form, but again, we shouldn't be getting beat 2-1, and as you said, it's something that a lot of people could see coming as well. And
again, it's just worth saying, but obviously that's no disrespect to any of these parts of teams, because we're not at any point saying that any of the results that they've had that they didn't deserve it, because they thoroughly did. But that's kind of our point, is that as a full-time team with one of the best squads in the league, we really should be making it a lot harder for these sort of teams to come and dominate us at home and to beat us, and that's what these teams are doing. And so I don't want to take any credit away from them, because they deserve the results.
It's no discrediting them for their performances and getting the results. It's more the frustrating part on our hand that we shouldn't be getting those type of results against us. We should be playing with a certain style of football that the type of results won't happen. And I think one of the biggest reasons that the results are happening is due to our negative style of football, which is not very good to see. And again, touching back on the not discrediting part-time teams, the amount of resource that we pumped into this squad, we've probably got a squad that's, for a lot of the teams that are in our league, 2 times the amount of
31 players or something.
31 players that have all been involved so far this season, and that's not taking into consideration the under 18s. It's just that seem not to be getting a look in whatsoever. That's a different point as well. So we've got a massive squad. We've put in a lot of money. That's probably far greater than what the majority of teams we're playing are, and the performances and results have just not been good enough. We've just imploded to a degree. Just
on that point, I'm interested in your opinion on this, because this has been a talking point kind of in the stands. Is, do you think that whilst having a big squad looks great on paper, do you think that's maybe a hindrance because it means it's constantly chopping and changing? Again, I'm going to compare it to Falkirk, but you look at Falkirk, they've got a pretty clear 11 first team players, or 11 starters, sorry. Then they've got a bench of players who can come in and do the job, but that 11 starters, that's your starting 11. And then others can come in and change. I feel like maybe having a big squad, like I said, looks great on paper. Look at all this money, look at all these players, look at how good the bench looks and all that. But as a manager, is that maybe a hindrance looking at that and going, I actually don't know what to do because I've got so many players that I need to keep happy, get minutes, keep fit, and obviously try to get a best starting 11 out of that. And you're looking at that, and as I said, he's got 4 fucking strikers on at one point. Like, so do you think maybe a big squad can maybe be a hindrance?
Of course it can be a hindrance, but at the end of the day, he's obviously said he's wanted these players. I think the board came out and said that at the start of the season quite clearly, that they've gave him what he wanted. So it's then on him to use those resources how he feels fit. And again, he's got a lot of these players, but it does seem to me that he does have a clear set of mind of who his favourites are, if you want to put it that way. Certain people are not getting a look in whatsoever, and it can be a hindrance both on the park with having too much people who to choose from, but then again it's probably a hindrance in the people that have made that investment to bring these people into the squad, because they've spent money, they're paying these wages, and for a lot of the people that they've brought in, they've not even been given a chance from what I've saw. So that's just money that's potentially been wasted and burning the pockets.
Well, one of those players, we'll touch on this now, maybe touch on a little bit more detail later on, but Mackenzie Kirk, you've just told me, I didn't even see it, that he's just been getting a new contract by Hearts, and it was quoted that it's for his performances at Accies. Now, I thought you'd maybe said that. But, I mean, we talked about it at the game on Saturday there, where he's maybe had a maximum 10 minutes, if that, at game time. Now, as I said, we've got a massive squad and we've got strikers. It's not as if we're short on attacking options. But this is a young guy who, playing at Hearts B, scored a ridiculous amount of goals. I think it was 25 goals or something mental like that. Put him out on loan to Accies, try and get some minutes in first team in the kind of men's game, so to speak. And he's just not really been given a chance. And I find that sometimes watching a game, say if Ahkeem Rose is tiring or something like that, and you can see that that's the change he's going to make, I don't see why when we need a goal, he's not somebody you return to. And on the other side of that, I don't see where in our last result, 3-0 at Stirling, I don't see why he's not getting a chance off the bench when we're quite comfortable and he can be a bit more free. You know, we're not chasing a game. The pressure isn't on him to get a winning goal as a young player. It's somebody who can go out and play, be quite free and try to create a chance for himself. I just don't really see, maybe it's training, maybe he doesn't train well or whatever it is. But I really don't understand why Mackenzie Kirk's not getting.
Listen, I don't have a clue why he's not getting any sort of opportunity. As you said, game on Saturday was a great chance to actually get him some game time on the park and maybe sort of get a goal for his confidence, because you've seen what that's Jake Hasty obviously managed to do that on Saturday there as well. But again, boy scored 25 goals and it wasn't even January yet. Hearts have rewarded him a new deal there.
They obviously see a future.
And I think when you spoke to Joel Sked before he actually came in, Joel sort of said how his attitude was spot on. He gives 110% each game. Maybe one of his flaws is he gives too much effort because he's here, there and everywhere. So I don't know. Again, we don't see what happens behind closed doors, etc. But it does seem that there are certain people that seem to fall under who he seems to rely on and who he prefers to give minutes to again, and I just see it as frustrating for Mackenzie Kirk, probably frustrating for Hearts because he was scoring a barrel load against men in the Lowland League, so he was getting that exposure. I read in the quote that the B manager says that although he's not got much game time at Hamilton, I suppose that'll maybe give him some fire in the belly for when he does come back, because that's him got a bit of experience with regards to first team and see that perhaps things don't always go your way. So it seems as if they were trying to make a positive out of what is a negative. But yeah, I just think, especially when we're going into the playoffs, and it's a bit of a situation that we're in just now where the games aren't pointless by no means, but we kind of know where we're going to be, like, unless another full-scale implosion happens. So do you keep the momentum going? Do you keep your strong 11 that you perceive as being your right one and your one-trick pony constantly doing that? Or do you sort of give some people a chance, give some people more minutes, and give them and ensure that when we go into that playoff we know exactly what we should be doing to give ourselves the best chance?
Yeah, I mean, we'll jump back to the results in a second, but that's an interesting talking point because I agree, and I said this in the video, I think, after Stirling, where we know we're going to be in the playoffs, as you said, unless something happens, that we know we're going to get second place, really, and it's now a case of just maintaining a run, keeping confidence high, keeping a winning run going, so that when we go into the playoffs, we're on good form, because obviously last season we were coming down going into the playoffs. We were in a terrible run of form. We couldn't get a win to save ourselves, literally. And then when we came up against Airdrie or Alloa, they were on good form. And so, you know, we want that in our favour this time round. We want to be going up against an Inverness and Dunfermline, whoever it may be, who are in bad form, with us keeping that run going. So for me, you keep your strongest 11. If opportunities like that present themselves, like Kelty Hearts 5-0, Stirling Albion 3-0 or something like that, where you can give these players time, by all means do it,
and give the players that are going to have a positive effect. Don't bring on a left back. What's the point in bringing Stephen Hendry on? And that's not me like slagging Stephen Hendry, but you're 3-0 up. What's the fucking point? What is the point? And I just, sorry, it's something that's you reminded me there, because I remember hearing it in your match review. One thing that you also need to be mindful of, because you've done this a few times now.
Me?
Aye.
Okay. So
you keep on mentioning the championship teams. We still need to beat the League One team.
No, that's true. That's true.
You seem as if we're already
Aye.
in that final. That's something that you need to be very mindful of, because well, we've already seen that we've had some very dodgy results this season. So don't feel for a second that we're definitely going to be shooting in for that final.
No, listen, that's absolutely fair enough. You're right to comment on that. Listen, let's jump into the results quickly. 5-0 win away to Kelty. Ahkeem Rose.
Always believe in the Rose.
Always believe in the Rose. I mean, what a game for him. Hat-trick on the day, of course. I'm going to maybe be controversial. I don't think we played stupendously well. Did you agree?
I totally agree.
Okay.
I saw 4 goals. I'll put my hands up to that. Jumped in for a wee pint and the wee hanging, so I did miss 1 goal. But from what I saw, for the most part, and I saw about 85 minutes, it was just 1 goal I missed. They were fucking dreadful. They were so bad. Like, it was really, really bad. And I was pretty surprised with how poor they were, to be honest with you, because I do think that they've got a couple of players that are actually quite decent, but I don't know if they had injuries or whatnot, but they were so bad. And yeah, I think any team sort of rocked up there, whether it been ourselves, Falkirk and Alla, even a Cove Rangers, I think they'd have took a lot off them because they were just really poor. Again, it's very harsh to say. It's pretty weird considering we won 5-0, but they were very poor. But again, let's not take credit away, because we can criticise when things aren't going well, but when things are positive results wise, then you don't want to take too much away from them. But Kelty were rotten, but we got ourselves in a lot of good positions. We're obviously off the back of a couple of poor results. Obviously, that draw with Stirling was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen in my life, and Accies were the most negative football I think I've ever saw an Accies team playing that game. So I don't know if that's been something that maybe Rankin sort of just says to them, you know what, we can't we just can't do anything right now. We're so bad. I don't know, because we have.
I just imagine him walking into the dressing room just going, guys,
we're so bad.
We are so bad.
Just go and do what you want, sort of thing.
Well,
I think there might have been a bit of, do you know what, just
back to basics,
just a
bit of freedom.
Just go, a bit of freedom, exactly, that's the best way to put it. I think he might have just says, go in freedom, have a go at them, sort of thing.
One of the big differences I saw in the game, and again, this is a point I think I made in the video, is one of the big positives I've seen was that high press, putting them under pressure, because again, it was a bit of a surprising lineup. You've got Conor Murray, Redfern playing, and it was a wee bit like, these players kind of, Murray, I don't know how long it was since he last played. Obviously, Redfern's had really horrible injury issues, but I did kind of think we all did miss on the lineup going, this is weird, I'm not really sure what's happening here. But you did see it worked, because those players like the high press. Obviously, you've got O'Hara and Rose in there as well, but we put them under constant pressure, and that was a big difference I've seen from the previous games where we didn't do that, and that was what we did at the start of the season.
That's what we did.
Press high and cause issues.
Very high press, constantly in the team's faces, and didn't give them a second, which we seem to give him 20 seconds, part of the Celtic game for recently. So I don't know what's been said, but 5-0 victory, good win. Rose got the hat-trick, and
followed up by a 1-0 win at home to Edinburgh City. Once again, Ahkeem Rose with a goal.
I said literally 2 minutes ago, I don't think I've seen a poorer and more boring performance in my life, and I didn't think I was ever going to see one after the Stirling game, but a week and a half later I had to then go watch that, and people will probably look, well, he's fucking won 1-0. What sort of more do you want? If you were at that stadium and you watched that game, it was so bad. It was freezing cold, one of the coldest games I think I've been in a very, very long time, and having to painfully go through that, it was just it was very hard to watch. And again, it's very frustrating, because we know we've got players and we've got a squad that's capable of playing attractive football. The vast majority of the players in that squad are sort of your attacking sort of wingers and flair players, if you want to put it that way. And it's just the style of football in that game. We allowed a team that's on 5 points to nearly go away with another point at the end, if it wasn't for Dean Linus. Why you always Linus? Putting his...
It was a great, and one of them was offside, but it was a great double save.
It was, because he put his full body on the line, sort of thing. He could have got really injured by doing that, and that's why obviously keepers.
I'm interested. Let's talk about Dean Linus a wee bit, because obviously when he signed, we've obviously got injury problems and go. Ryan Fulton has been in the squad, but obviously we don't know how fit he is. Jamie Smith was.
I saw him in Tesco yesterday.
Ryan Fulton.
Yeah.
I've seen him in Tesco a few times.
Was you?
I see. Obviously, that's Tesco closest to me. I went there. I walked in one day and I went. It was just before the playoffs, obviously last season, or was it just after? It was one of them, and I kind of seen him and he seen me, and I kind of went, "All right, Ryan, how you doing?" He was like, "All right, Ben, how you?" Blah blah blah. And that way, where I didn't want to speak to him too much, didn't want to be that guy.
Aye.
And he was there, and he had his wee basket, and I just went, "Best of luck, mate."
Aye.
And he went, "Cheers, mate." And I walked away and I left him.
Anytime I think of Ryan Fulton now, I just can't unpicture after that cup final. I walked out the Palace 3 o'clock in the morning, absolutely layered. Went down, my phone was dead, so I've went down to Asda, try and get a taxi or something. And whilst I was if you know Hamilton, you come down the Palace, and you go down the steps, you've got your next to your Nando's. And as I'm walking, I heard this noise, and I looked to my left, and Ryan Fulton and Freddie were just sitting there. I don't know how that conversation went, but I'd love to be a fly in the wall to listen to it.
Oh God, I can imagine him going in the next day in the training, wherever it was, and just going, "Guys, I was sitting with that Freddie 6 in the morning outside Asda, man."
Remember, they weren't in training for about 8 days after that.
True.
So
that's true. Someone on a bench till Wednesday.
Maybe that's what was the problem. Maybe Ryan Fulton went back to Freddie's.
Freddie kept them all out.
Cooked him a chicken.
Didn't he cook it? Right,
that's why we would get pumped 8-0 or 7-0. They're like food poisoning for Freddie. Just didn't want to open and admit it. Just carried on on a bender.
Right, on to the latest result, 3-0 at home to Stirling. Now again, it maybe sounds a bit weird saying this after a 3-0 win. Again, didn't think it was a great a great game. Didn't think it was super entertaining. I've actually got my tweet here where I said, by no means a great game to watch, but another 3 points. Back-to-back home wins to help build some confidence going into the playoffs. Hopefully it's just cramp for Rose. Obviously he came off injured in that game. And nothing else. Also good to see Hasty get his first goal of the season. Now again, as I said, out of context, that maybe sounds weird, 3-0 win, but again, not a super entertaining game, but 3 points. Gets on a good little bit of form. 3 wins in the last 5, so that's a positive you can take from it. But if we're talking about how we play, again, not super entertaining.
Yeah, and people just probably be like, oh, these Wanties are winning 3-0. You just expect too much, but it's not as expecting too much. We know these players are capable of playing good football. We know they're capable of getting results. And yeah, we've got the 3-0 victory, but again, I don't know if you read the forums. Pine Bovril still are one of the teams that are actually surprisingly quite active from a fan base point of view on Pine Bovril. And they were fucking fuming. This is, couldn't tell you the last time that we played such a poor performance. Really frustrated about how they went out. They didn't sort of really lay a finger on us, and they allowed to go away from that game 3-0 down with how poor we played as well. So listen, the style of football is just, I don't know, it sounds like a broken record, but it's so negative. It's a style of football, and I don't know if this is what fits into him sort of trying to implement his identity of Ahkees being hard to beat, because it's very, very hard and eye to watch, which, listen, let's not take too much away. We've went away for 3-0 victory, but we sort of turned things around from a sort of getting beat at home perspective, so that's a bonus. But fans pay money to go and watch a football team, and it's good to get victories. But it's hard to watch at times.
I mean, as I touched on earlier on, the playoffs is the best we can hope for at this stage. I just said, touch wood that nothing extremely bad happens, but we should be getting second place in the league, and then we take it from there. But as I said, the most important thing for me till the end of the season is, as you said, the games aren't not important, but I've been saying this in every video I think I've done in the last few weeks, is that I just feel a wee bit nonchalant about them, a wee bit like we need to get a win, but we know what's happening. We're not in a title race. It's just one of those things that we just need to get the games out of the way till we get to the playoffs, right? But I just said the games aren't not important, and somebody put it on socials the other day that you kind of hope when we get to the playoffs, it kind of ignites the fans' passion a wee bit more, and fans get a little bit more excited.
It's like a fucking
to go up.
Sorry, excuse my language. Sorry, Seraph. Doesn't like me swearing. The place is like a morgue. It's horrendous, man. And at the start of the season, you obviously had the wee guys that came. They created a wee bit of an atmosphere.
Division Red.
UA or whatever they're called these days. But listen, good on them. Accies don't engage with the community and don't attempt to bring those younger fans across, which hopefully is something which, when things sort of maybe develop, that we can start to do more of that and get more of sort of the younger generation involved, because you see with a lot of these sort of lower division teams, League 1, League 2, they all have their wee sort of ultra pact, which don't, listen, if you like it, you like it. People, your T-Rexes criticise and stuff like that, but it helps generate a bit of atmosphere. 100%. And at the moment, there isn't any of that, and I think it is partly to do, and apart from away games fans always get behind the team really well, but yeah, as you say, I think until you said nonchalant, I never knew what nonchalant meant, but that's what it is. You're going into these games, you're just like, yeah, we need to win. If we don't win, there's going to be a barrage of negativity and criticism, etc. You want to be going into playoffs on the ascendancy with sort of good results behind you, but because we know where we kind of are at, you're just like, we should be winning, we expect to win, and the type of football we've seen isn't exactly good, easy and eye. So I don't blame a lot of people for staying away, but it's not in my sort of blood or whatever you want to put it, to be able to stay away regardless of how painful it is to watch.
And as I said, that's kind of what you hope when we get to the playoffs, touch wood, then we get to the playoffs, that it'll reignite the fan base a wee bit again, because again, these are high stakes games, obviously a chance to get promoted in our 150th year, so you hope that kind of reignites the fans' passion a wee bit, and those who have taken a step away can come back and help support the team in the park and make a difference for us going up. That's what you hope for. We'll be there, as always. We'll be there to back the team. But that's kind of what you hope, is run of confidence into the playoffs.
I think you make a really good point, sort of touching base on the 150th anniversary, because like if we're going into next season, it's your 150th year anniversary. You've got new owners. They've took over the stadium, which has been we hope that happens.
Got a touching point to
that's
that
something
as well,
we'll touch on in a bit more detail. Everything seems to be changing for a positive, for what a lot of fans have wanted. I think I don't want to touch on it too much if that's what we're about to start talking about. But yeah, we need sort of fans to be there. It'd be good if they were sort of here just now, but I don't blame them for a second for staying away when these nonchalant games are so painful now to watch.
You're going to slip nonchalant into everything. Yeah. There's going to be a tweet later on. Don't play nonchalant about this game.
I wouldn't know how to spell it. I'd probably get banned for saying schlong or something.
Listen, but you do make a good talking point there about the stadium. Obviously, that was right at the start of the season. There was a fans forum, and one of the things that Serif and John Brown spoke about was buying the stadium. We have a plan to buy it within 2 years, as I believe is what they said. And me and you and kind of everybody else looked at each other like, okay. Believe that when we see it. Very good. But it's developed massively since then. Obviously, there have been news reports. Lanarkshire Live reported that a deal has been agreed. We've been told that a price has been agreed. A price is shaking hands. There's obviously some things holding it up, but hopefully we'll get some positive news about that soon. But it is a positive news story. Hopefully, we hear about it before the end of the season. I don't think we will, but at least hopefully we hear about it over the summer. But it is a massively positive step in the right direction. And one of Accies' kind of most vocal fans at the games, especially Tatty, who was a big voice for Watching Out era, and he's been here for a long, long time. One of the things he spoke about on Twitter was fans have been calling for this for years and years and years, and we're now at a point where it looks like it's happening, or it is going to happen. We just don't know when. And it's now a case of you do have to back Serif in this situation. Say, to be fair, everything they've said would happen bar winning the league has basically happened. They've backed John Rankin. We've got a good chance of going up. As I say, we'll not win the league. It looks like they're going to buy the stadium. It looks like more investment is coming as well, and hopefully we get the stadium under wraps, and that's a positive step in the next direction.
I know for a fact, and from a lot of conversations I've had with people and people who've sort of messaged me, that there's so many people that from sort of the past sort of 2 decades or whatever just having to step foot in NDP just because who's been in charge, what the connections were, like sort of what they perceived as being dodgy and whatever it may be.
And these are big vocal Accies fans, Accies fans.
Again, fair play to Serif and that. I'll wait until things actually signed, sealed and delivered and come again, because the sort of things I've been hearing is that it's not been an easy deal. Yeah, I can't imagine it would be really. It's been a lot of blockages and sort of I'm just very mindful of that away stand that's just been renovated, and probably a lot of investment's been put into that to do it up. I don't know if it's a rehab centre or what's becoming of it. Yep. So I'm very mindful of that as well. So it looks like a rehab centre. Like the way it's painted and all that. It kind of looks healthcare. I don't know if it's a medical or whatever it may be, but yeah, there'll obviously be lots of parts to the deal, which, having had conversations about the buying of the football club, we knew that there was a lot of things that were perhaps not brought to light until the deal was actually done. So yeah, I think we need to be mindful, but it's a really positive step in the right direction. And again, fair play to Serif and everyone that's helped try and get that over the line. And if it does, going into your 150 year, it'll be a huge step. And I'm sure with that happening, we can then, as a whole, look at bettering other things with it, whether that be relationships with fans, whether it be engaging with the community. Because we've went on for the past 25 years that we're such a community club. No, we're not. I don't see us engaging with Hamilton whatsoever. I don't see the football club. Football clubs, no discredit to the charitable organisations. They do great things and they do a lot of good engagement, but football club's not done any engagement. For a town of 60,000 people to have a average home attendance of less than 1,000, 600, it's embarrassing. It's no fault of me and you, but we had 20 years there where we've been in the top tier for X amount of them. We didn't do anything to sort of capitalise on this. So hopefully with the stadium getting built, with people that seem to have a really good care for the actual football club as well, hopefully we can get everything right and then just hopefully start going back up the leagues and creating a bigger fan base, which for a town the size of Hamilton and the sort of wider sort of Lanarkshire community, we should be having. We've got a bigger town than Murrow, and look at their support in comparison to us.
I would hope that when the stadium is confirmed, cross my fingers that it obviously does get confirmed, that we get a fans forum or Sheriff comes out and does some big long interview or whatever it is, and just kind of gives us the details of this, because as you said, there is still questions around it, of course.
Need full clarity.
You need clarity on it. You know, that there are people who believe, I don't necessarily agree with them, but there are people that believe that the previous owners still have quite a large part to play in what's happening right now, both football side and non-football side. And so, as you said, if we get the stadium deal over the line, it is up to Sheriff and the board and all that to clear any of these issues up, make it clear who's in charge, what's happening with the away stand, for example, money that comes in for rent, where's it's going, because obviously that's a big talking point from the previous owners as well. So there's a lot to clear up.
I had a interesting conversation yesterday with one of our older fans, and he mentioned that there's a perceived sort of spy element in the club at the moment, where because there's a lot of people from the past era still within the main grounds of the stadium, that a lot of information is getting passed about. There's a lot of Chinese whispers. It's not good for the team morale. It's causing a lot of division. It's causing a lot of issues.
Okay.
Listen, that could be absolute Sean baloney. I don't know if that is right or wrong, but who knows? And I think that's one thing that I think Sheriff's made clear throughout the season, is that he needs to buy the stadium to make this sort of work. Yeah. And then that makes that story sound a bit believable.
Aye. You would expect that once he buys the stadium and he owns it and he has full control of it, there would be some sort of clear out behind the scenes, is what you would expect. And it's the case with any...
They'll hire Luke Bennett for a cameo. Get out!
What is it?
Get out.
Pass money, get it to the gang, or whatever it is. What does it go? Get money, give it to the gang.
I can't remember. Anyway.
So you would expect that some sort of clear out. It happens in all forms of life, in all businesses, in football clubs. A new owner comes in, they get a new manager, they get a new squad, whatever it is, it happens. And you would expect probably behind the scenes there would be a bit of a clear out, as you said, with those who are maybe here from previous owners and stuff like that.
Here's a question for you.
Fine away. I love when you ask questions.
So see for the past 10 years, we've had quite a few wacky stadium names. We've had this Hope CD Stadium. We've had the Super Seal. Yep. We've had the Fountain of Youth Stadium. We've obviously touched on Luke Bennett. What about the Hustle House?
Just referred to as the Hustle House. Guys, we go live now to Accies Falkirk at the Hustle House Stadium. Well,
in all seriousness though, if the stadium was bought, what do you think it would be called?
They would obviously have some sort of naming rights deal agreed, because that's a great source of income to bring in.
Do you think?
100%.
I don't.
See, I do think, and the reason I think, is just because, as I said, it's a really easy way to make money.
It is, but...
You sign a company to 2 years and you call it the fucking Super Seal Stadium, whatever it is, right?
But see these deals that have happened in the past, they haven't been worth $100,000.
No, of course they've not been.
It's all been...
Yeah, of course they've not been, right? But I just think that it is such an easy way to make money. And given how much the stadium we're being told is going to cost, it's an easy way for them to recoup some of their loss by getting this deal signed. Now, to me and you and to everybody else, it'll always be
and that's why I think from the conversations that we've had,
do you not think they'll do a naming thing?
And one of the things that I'm Sheriff is a strong sort of football guy. And he seems to be engaging with all the right people, both current Accies fans and those that have been sort of Accies fans. I think he'll keep to the roots. He knows all the fans caught NDP.
That's interesting.
Listen, there's so many scope for all different commercial revenue streams that we seem to be doing absolutely none of just now. And again, I'm sure that's something that when the stadium's fully bought, they'll make sure that all their ducks are in a row with regards to getting other things sorted.
I've heard that before.
That's one of my what's it called?
One of your wee phrases.
See how when you're on the phone to like a customer at work or something, like a gap filler. Always
All your ducks in a row.
Just make sure you get all your ducks in a row.
I've never heard that before.
It means that you get
everything in order, get
everything in order. Aye, so
right, okay.
Got the ducks in a row. So
listen,
I think that's when he'll start to do all the other things. He wanted to make sure that he got the football team sorted. He wanted to try and build trust with core group of fans. But again, the past season we've not done anything from a commercial revenue point of view. We've not done much engagement by the fans forums. I'm sure when everything is all sorted, that's when those things will start happening, especially with it being the 150th anniversary.
I'm interested in the naming rights. As you said, it will always be New Douglas Park. I'll always refer to it as New Douglas Park. I would love for them to keep it as New Douglas Park and just make a statement of saying we won't be renaming the stadium for the next 5 years, whatever it is, 10 years, because this is our roots, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, Douglas, the original Douglas Park and all that. But my personal opinion is it's just such an easy form of revenue. I can see them banking on it. And
I also hope that for once that the sponsors, and again, this is a bit of a tangent that we're going off on, but it's a good tangent, is the sponsor is somebody that's got no connection. Because again, that's Seraph bought the football club, and what's the sponsor on our football top? His company. Yeah. So although it's getting him good marketing, I suppose, for his company, it's his money, it's his pocket that's kind of doing that. Do you know what I mean? So
you would hope it's an outside source.
Outside source, bring in more revenue. We've got so much other scope for bringing in commercial revenue. Exactly. Yeah, there's just so many different things that we're lacking in just now, and I'm again completely going back to the whole stadium point of view. They're going to be making a big investment. They're going to need to recoup that in some way, and having a crowd of 600 can't be financially sustainable to do so. So we need to be looking at other different avenues. So I'm sure we'll get that sorted, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Another big investment that was made was in the January transfer window, Ahkeem Rose, and we've touched on him, his scoring records, his hat-tricks and all that. But let's just talk about Ahkeem Rose for a second, because he has been a shining light since he came in January. Again, was one of the
best number 9 to ever grace New Douglas Park.
I ain't saying it. I ain't saying that. But
no, somebody said it.
No, I know somebody said it, but I ain't saying it. I ain't tying my name to that.
Such a silly American man. The muesli man.
But listen, Ahkeem Rose, man, he came in and was one of those signings that was just a wee bit like, do you really need Ahkeem Rose? No a great record at air, no a lot of appearances. It's a wee bit like, is this a signing for the sake of the signing? You know, blah, blah, blah. But he's came in and done very, very well. He's very different to what we've had before, where, and again, when you Google him, as we always do, when you sign somebody, you think he's a big powerhouse, a kind of Joe Mbongo, like, I think, or we're just replacing Joe Mbongo with a player of similar attributes. But he's not. He's a lot shorter than I thought he was, a lot quicker than I thought he was. He's better in the air. And he just offers something totally different to like
he
like a Henderson or Kevin O'Hara. He's a proper goal. What do you call it? A penalty box striker. He's a proper penalty box striker.
Yeah, listen, he's been a really good signing. He's a player that knows how to get himself in the right positions, and when he's in those positions, he puts the ball away. Which I don't know if you're trying to make a comparison to. I'm trying to think of a footballer I've watched over the years. It's maybe similar. Jermaine Defoe. I don't know.
Clinical striker, yeah.
You know that if you get the ball in the 12-yard box, then he's going to be dangerous. Yeah. But again, you need to ensure that the service he's getting is good, which I think.
Which is why I think Kevin O'Hara works quite well for him.
I don't think the service has been that good for him.
It's not been
personally.
Great,
I think Kevin O'Hara works well for him, but I think having the wingers that are going to get the ball in the box, he'll get into the position, he'll score a goal, which we saw at Kelty. Every goal he scored was a real poacher's goal. He got himself in the right position. His goals against Falkirk, again, took his goals very well. And then his goals recently at home have been really good. We'll not talk about the penalty because that was dreadful. But anyway.
The thing is, right, I'm so glad you reminded me of that, because I was just about to say, I don't remember him having a big chance and missing it. But obviously he missed that penalty.
Bar the penalty. But no. He's been a really good signing. As you said, when we did sign him, it was a bit like, are we just signing this player for the sake of it? It was the last sort of minute of deadline day. But no, hats off to the club for signing him. He's been a real good signing, and it's one that if we were playing a bit more attacking, I think he would be doing even more goals. But he takes everything that's laid to him so far, and yeah, hopefully that's a player that I think we've heard that we might have an option to buy him.
I was just about to say that, Jink. Well, or would you be looking for him to sign this summer?
100%, yeah. It was quite interesting. When we did sign him, I didn't do my usual sort of looking at his previous record and stuff like that. I think I was at that point when I was just a bit disillusioned with the football club, to be honest with you, so I wasn't really putting too much attention to things. But I looked in his Twitter the other day there, and his pinned tweet was something about give me an injury-free season,
right,
and I'll show everyone sort of what I'm capable of, and going back to that level, what I know myself I can do, sort of trust the process sort of thing. And yeah, he's nothing I can fault him for so far.
And hopefully, as you said, he went off injured there.
Oh yeah,
it's just cramp.
Touch wood. That's
it looked just like cramp at the time, so hopefully
it's not just cramp. And yeah, that's another thing that if we do get to playoffs and we win the first game, if it's air, we can't play him. But listen, we've got a 31-man squad. We've got hundreds of players there that could sort of step in.
Yep.
We just need to make sure that we're playing the right style.
Yep. Another player that is recently came back into the fray with Accies is our old friend Jamie Hamilton.
Huh?
Not played a game in over 2 years. Recently played a bounce game, 45 minutes in a bounce game. We actually got a message from Alistair who said Hamilton's contract is up in 2 months and he would like our opinions on it because obviously, like I said, he's not played in 2 years, not seen anything of him in 2 years. We were told at the start of the season that the club had gave him basically 2-3 months to get fit. If he isn't fit, then his contract, he would be a free agent. They've stuck by him. It looks now like he's finally, again, touch wood, on the mend. He's been on the mend quite a few times and had a setback. Hopefully it looks like this is an injury issues at the way he can get back to playing. What is your opinion on Jamie Hamilton? He's got 2 months left of his deal. Are you giving him another year? Are you risking it? Or what are you doing?
We need to see how the season unfolds. I think the club stuck by him massively. I think there was obviously a period where his contract ran out.
Yep.
And me and you used to be the biggest advocates of him whatsoever. Like, me and you talked about the levels that he could potentially go into a lot. People thought we were mad at some occasions with sort of the praise that we'd give him, but I do stand by that from what I saw him from a young age, and the clubs that he did get touted for it. I wouldn't have been surprised back then if he did. He's been so hard done by with regards to injuries.
Yep.
And then again, the club has stand by him. The club have put him through the treatment, and it seems to be on the road to, fingers crossed, touch wood, recovery now. And hopefully, if that is the case, he sort of repays the faith in which the club has put into him, because if he can find his form and get back to that level that we knew that he was going to go to, then it'd be a great asset to have in the team.
Yep,
so if he continues to be injury free, of course, I think we give him a new deal. I'd be very surprised if our other centre-back isn't getting linked with...
Mate, what
week after week after week, the EK lad, Ferguson, just seems to... I don't know, he's just so good.
Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if you don't have clubs sniffing around him as well. Because
I stuck out on Twitter that day, mate. He's 20 years old.
It's mad. He's so composed in the ball, just takes it, drives with it. Physical. When a player's running at him, you always have confidence that he's going to win the ball. You're not afraid that he's going to get done. He's
great at driving through, which is what Jamie Hamilton was great at. Was picking the ball up
very similar attributes to one another. He's not one of these centre backs that...
Fergus is definitely more physical.
Fergus is more physical, but they both have similar attributes, whereas agile, good in the air, good on the ball, and don't hoof it, which we've seen certain players over the past few years have had tendencies of being renowned for hoofing the ball. So I don't know if that's the whole... I don't know, but I see so many of these names with Gen Z and fucking...
Where are you going with this? This is spiralling a wee bit.
So, because they talk about the modern game.
Right,
do you know what I mean? So, in the modern day centre-back, like your Virgil van Dijks, etc. Like, so, because they have similar attributes, Keane Newbury's got similar attributes to them, so I don't know if this is something that's sort of drilled into him at a young age.
Well on loan to the
throughout the academy or whatnot. But it's not something that we've we've been used to seeing from
No,
Accies
that's fine.
centre backs. We've been used to your Cannons, your Mark McLaughlin's, your
Yeah.
Chris Wales. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good to see
Old school centre backs.
old school, whereas the whatever you call the Gen Z or
I get
whatever.
you.
Yeah,
I get you.
Even though they're probably not Gen Z, I don't even know what Gen Z is. I'm just using.
Mate, I have no idea. I know that boomers are older than us, and boomers the next generation up for us.
Right, okay.
So we're something. You're Gen X or Gen Z or something like that.
All right, okay.
I don't care. Right, anyway, you're right. I'll be very surprised if come the summer Ferguson isn't getting sniffed about because
I would hope that even if there is a bit of sniffing, that we don't entertain it, because again, we've been, I think, over
right. I've got an interesting question for you then, right? Just on that, because previously when people have came sniffing about for our young players, we've all been
they just get accepted and go.
We've all very much been in the mindset of don't leave. Like Greg Docherty, I stand by the fact should never have left.
Too early, far too early.
Lewis Ferguson's done well for himself, right? So fair enough. But Ferguson's
£22 million player.
Supposedly, Daki's got a cut of that. Have we figured that out?
Yes, there's definitely some form of cut, but
it'll be minuscule, but surely that
you don't know what it is. Plus, as we've sort of heard with regards to certain clauses in the buying deal, there'll probably be previous owners that get some form of cut of that as well. So, listen, back to your point. I just think.
Can I ask my question?
I know what you're going to ask, but go.
So, say a club comes in for Ferguson's, right? Would you rather reject it and he stays at the club as our player, or we get a good figure for him and he goes, but we get a loan back for the next season? What would you prefer?
I'd keep him, because I'd be mindful of what league we're in as well, because that devalues your player's ability massively as well. I'm sure that the fee that we've got for Ryan Oney would have been far greater if we're in a better league as well. So I just don't think that we'll get a value for Ferguson that is true to what he's actually worth and the potential we're seeing him at 20 years old. Each game I see him, it just gets better and better. I wouldn't entertain any offers whatsoever in the summer. I think that's what we've historically done, is the first time somebody comes sniffing around, we've just accepted it because we want to be seen this club that produces young talent. And a lot of the time we don't actually see these young talents on the first 11. And that's an argument which a lot of fans get frustrated about, is we develop these great players, we have such a good academy for the sort of club, the team that sort of the club size that we're at, but we don't get the true value on the pitch for them. We get the money in the back pocket and see you later sort of thing. Whereas if you had another year, 2 years sort of breaking through the first team, it'll increase their value. Plus, we also get to reap the rewards of the development that's happened on the park as well.
That's interesting. What if, is another thing to add on to it, what if Jamie Hamilton comes back and gets fit? And so it's a case of odds are you can't play both of them.
How?
I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but I'm just saying that.
Would you play them both?
They're both right-sided. So I'd be a wee bit worried about that, given also the fact they're both very young.
Do we have a left-sided centre-back?
Michael Day.
Does he play?
No, that's fairly okay. That's fairly okay. He doesn't play right now. But they are two very young centre-backs. I think we forget, I know he's been out for 2 years, but I think we forget Jamie Hamilton's still young. Very young guy. As we say, Ferguson's only 20, so if Jamie Hamilton comes back...
If every centre-back was fit, what would be a centre-back partnership?
Kildare and Owens would be my centre-back partnership.
If they were all fully fit?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay.
Who's your...
Jamie Hamilton and Ferguson's.
Would you play the two of them?
All day long.
Really?
If they're fully fit.
I don't think I would.
You used to talk about Jamie Hamilton as if he was the next Nesta.
He is the next Nesta. And Ferguson's the next Maldini. What else do you want?
Exactly. So no, but you've played them both. Listen, cheers.
I do get your point, right? But my like I said, my standing would be that they are both very young. You never ever hear of a young partnership like that because, well, I mean, we do see we give them
Spurs.
And how are they doing?
Spurs are doing well for being in a transitional period, thanks.
transitional period. No, at the moment, it would be Kildare and Owens for me. It's a different game once we see Jamie Hamilton playing. Is it a wee bit that?
Do you know it was quite interesting? One of our fans thought, older fan, said that he thought he didn't realise that David Templeton had came back when he saw Jamie Hamilton.
With the hair? With the hair?
I think it was the hair and the legs. That's what the fan says. He says, I thought I was losing my sight.
David Templeton, by the way, lovely guy.
Very. You met him, didn't you?
What a guy, by the way. Really lovely guy. Aye. Is that us? Anything else? Cove at the weekend, mate. How you feeling away? They've got no away stand anymore, so it'll just be us standing at the side or in that wee shed.
It's going to be some trip, put it that way.
Oh, fuck, I totally forgot. Give everybody a backstory of what you're doing. I totally forgot about this.
Well, it's currently, as we're filming this, it's Monday. On Wednesday, I'm flying to Holland, Amsterdam, baby, for the Scotland-Holland game. Going to partake in some nice sightseeing, go to Anne Frank's, Heineken experience, go in the canals, stuff like that, just peaceful holiday.
100%.
Then the game's obviously Friday.
You got to partake in some national traditions.
Some local traditions,
Local traditions, mate, 100%.
Some schnitzels.
Mate, exactly.
Yeah.
Schnitzels German.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway,
he's just gonna have a nice relaxing
buy a pair of clogs,
yeah,
if you will. Brandon Cloghill.
That might be the most ridiculous thing you've ever said.
That'll be, but I'm going to get a picture with big clogs and caption that.
Brandon Cloghill. Right, okay, so you're going to this.
I'm going to Holland for the Scotland game. The Scotland game's obviously Friday night. Accies are playing Cove on the Saturday.
Yep.
Can't miss an Accies game. So our flight is at 7 a.m. after the Scotland game to London. We're then stopping off in London for a wee hour. And then we're getting a flight from London to Aberdeen. And then a taxi from Aberdeen Airport to Nigby to meet all the supporters. And then going to the Cove game. So
listen, nobody can say you're no dedicated fans.
Yeah.
And how many is that? There's a group of
7.
You'll be in some state on the Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know how well I'll be in the Saturday.
Would you make your flight? 7 a.m?
I'll make it. Whether the other ones do, that's a different case. But if they don't, then
you'll be there.
I'll be there, I think.
No,
with my clogs.
Please show up wearing clogs. If I was going into the Cove game wearing clogs. Listen, as I said, nobody can say you're not a dedicated fan for that, man. It's mental. Score prediction, Cove away. How are you feeling?
I think we'll slip up, personally.
Oh, do you?
I don't know why. We've not got a good record up there whatsoever.
Aye.
The standard of, even though we've got 2 wins in the past 2 games, the past few performances for me, take away the Celtic game, just I don't feel it's been that good. We've not won up at Cove for I can remember. I think we're going to slip up there, and I think Falkirk win the league on Saturday. Well,
that was another point I was just about to say. Obviously, was if we drop points and they win, then they win the league. Aye.
I think that's what will happen. I think we'll slip up. Or I know Hartley hates Falkirk, so maybe.
I don't know. I'm kind of in 2 minds about it, right? Because obviously Cove are still in 5th place, right?
So they're fighting for the playoffs.
They're still in this playoff position, right? I'm just looking at the results there. Obviously they had 2 bad results back to back, losing to Falkirk and then losing quite heavily to Montrose. Won the last game against Kelty. I think we'll win. I'll back because I think we win, mate. I don't think it'll be pretty.
We do, but I think we'll slip up. Every time we've been at Cove, it's just not been great. Standard of performance recently has been pretty poor. I think they've got 5A back as well. I think they need it a bit more than we need it. So, yeah, I think they'll win.
All right. I'll back Accies. I see Accies win. But guys, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers.
Thank you, guys. Much appreciated.
I mentioned it in the last video. I don't even think I made a point of saying it in one of the videos, but that's brilliant. As I said, in the grand scheme of things, 1,000 maybe doesn't sound a lot, but for an Accies channel, it's a milestone for all the effort in which you in particular has put in over the years developing the channel and going from the
the wee rubbish graphic behind you to
My bedroom.
yeah, to where we
What's wrong
are.
with my bedroom? What was wrong with my bedroom?
I didn't know you're 12.
See, one of the things was one of the folk at fancy was take the piss
I'm
at me.
sure Megan used to love going to that bedroom.
Do you know, genuinely, this will be insight that I've not told MD, but I'll tell you and
Okay.
I'll tell the podcast.
Okay.
I used to have a single bed at that time.
All right, okay.
Still stayed over.
Getting well from in between our vibes right now.
100% well from in between our vibes, by the way. That is spot on. Malaga scarf on the wall.
Yeah.
Come on over.
That was more meaning the
So inappropriate. Right, thank you very much for watching, listening. We really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video. Leave in the comments your thoughts on anything we spoke about. We want to get your feedback as always. And Brandon.
Remember, guys, always eat your muesli.